everyone. It's so good to see you here today. Hope you're enjoying the session so far. This is going to be the final panel talk, so hang in there. We are going to have some drinks upstairs really soon. We will talk about mobile marketers, Navigator manual, how to adapt industry trends. It's going to be quite interesting and productive conversation. I'm looking forward to it. But before we jump right in, let me introduce myself. I'm Cansu. I'm head of sales at HGC. It's been 5 years long journey at HGC, but overall 10 years long journey in mobile marketing. HGC is a mobile measurement company, but nowadays the definition of measurement is also evolving. Nowadays we are talking about not only app growth but PC console growth. So we do support our clients for app growth, PC console growth. We specialize in campaign optimization, automation, incrementality, and so on. So our ultimate goal is just making your life easier and fulfill your marketing needs. And today I'm here with a fantastic panelist. Hello guys, and it's an honor to be here with you. So would you mind introducing yourself? Maybe we can do this quick round of introductions. Do you want to start?
So thanks everyone for being here. Super excited, and it's great to have this panel discussion with all of you. Just a quick introduction from my side. My name is Francesco. I work for a company called CleverCap. We are the first engagement and retention platform for mobile gaming studios. And we also combine live ops and product A/B testing. So part of our offering is also that. I've been with the company since 2021, so it's been a little over 3 years. Been in mobile marketing since forever. Worked for several CRM platforms in the past. And I lead a commercial team in the UK and Southern Europe. And yeah, it's great to stay here with you today.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Gamze, originally from Turkey, but I'm based in Barcelona. I'm working at Product Madness as the UI manager, and I'm the channel lead for Google. I'm in mobile marketing, not very long time, but started from the background from offline, then digital marketing, then at the end right now mobile marketing. As Product Madness, we have social casino applications, mobile games. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rafael, VP of Marketing and Partnerships at Crazy Games. We are a web gaming platform with 40 million monthly active users, mostly based in the US and UK and other tier 1 countries. We work with all types of developers and publishers. So if you have a cool content, we generate a new revenue stream. Crazy Games is a great opportunity for you to tap a new audience. We have a lot of Gen Zs, a lot of users that you will not see in other platforms. They're falling in love with their first games, with their first IPs. They're sharing that with their friends. So very happy to connect. Thanks everybody for showing up. I guess we can start.
Amazing. Thank you very much for this quick introduction. So maybe we can then just jump right in. So we're talking about lots of challenges and changes we are going through in app marketing or marketing in general, right? So this ever-evolving industry, in the past 2 years, it was quite transformative for everyone. So before we dive into the main conversation, I would like to hear from you. What do you see as the most significant changes in marketing over the past 2 years? Do you want to start, Rafael?
Yeah, I mean, we work in a somewhat of a different space. It's still gaming, but in the web gaming space. And what I see is a lot of publishers and game developers, they are diversifying and going multi-platform, right? Meaning that they are not putting all the eggs in the same basket. They're toying around with the idea about saying hey, I have this really cool game that works very nice on the Google Play Store, on the App Store. What if I bring this game to the web, for instance? Or what if I put this game on Steam? And I think this empowers you to not only reach a new audience, help your user acquisition team to find those eyeballs, right? But at the same time, you can build a new revenue stream. And I think as the market becomes more and more crowded, it becomes harder and harder for you to stand out. I think to sticking around with the good games that you have and actually making sure you're being seen everywhere. Because if you're not everywhere, there will be something similar to what you have being done using something that you created, right? And I think right now, we're really fighting for the attention of the user, right? Everybody got better at retention. Everybody got how can it be, right? How it becomes just more competitive. How many games one people can play at the same time? And I think right now diversifying, going multi-platform, it's a trend that I see. Many big publishers are already working with us. There's a lot of them having questions and considering working with us in the long term. And I think that's something that's happening right now as technology evolves. You can do much more stuff. And yeah, so this is my point.
Well, also, I was going to say the competition. First, I would say, from UA perspective, I would say privacy. It changed a lot and it's changing. Like we started with iOS, but Android sandbox is coming maybe not this year, but like we will see it. Maybe AI privacy in a couple of years. I would say privacy. And also, competition, not only for each game genre, but like for all of us. Exactly. Like how many people will be more like to play the same games or more games like every day in the pool there are new things more, so like it's a problem, not problem, challenge. And also for our genre, for social casino, I would say that limitation, thanks to all the ad networks, especially like every day like everything coming like the limitations from Apple, from Google, so every time we have to find different ways to reach out to users. So for me those three are the main challenges.
Great. From my side, of course, I always put my answers into the under the, I would say, lifecycle marketing and product A/B testing perspective. So I can talk from that angle. So my company currently works with some of the largest studios in the world, right? And so even though they can afford a complex tech stack, a complex architecture in terms of lifecycle marketing, product analytics, product A/B testing, and so on, the reality is that we went from a crowded sort of tech stack architecture, and we are shifting to an efficiency market. So what I've observed over the last 12 months is that companies tend to pivot towards a more inclusive approach in terms of technology, and so they try to combine platforms more and more to become much more efficient from the data handling standpoint, from handling multiple providers at the same time, but also in terms of operational efficiency, right? Like you want to make sure that everything happens in the same environment, which is secure, scalable, protected, and so on. And so I think probably the biggest shift I observed is this comprehensive approach towards technology, more rather than having a fragmented tech stack. So I would say that's probably the biggest shift I observed from my side.
That's amazing. Everybody is sharing their perspective. Like what we heard is like privacy regulations, different environments, testing it out, and simplifying the tech stack, right? Because everything is getting more and more complex nowadays. So I think that's the key, like simplifying everything, like marketing automation, tech stack, and everything. So app marketing is constantly evolving. Like we talked about this, privacy regulations, tech advancements, and everything. So in order to stay competitive in this market, so you need to adapt yourself to rapid changes, right? And when we think of these key strategies, what do you think? What are the key strategies for adapting app marketing approach in this ever-evolving industry? Do you want to start, Francesco?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it comes down to how you handle the data, right? So depending on the amount of data you have at your disposal, then based on that you can decide what to do. But it's not just that, right? How do you filter the data? That's also extremely important. And so I would say for gaming studios, the biggest challenge, especially in hyper casual, is the fact that maybe you might have a large user base, but the LTV is low. And so how would you handle that? So you might have all of these attributes, user properties, event properties related to the user and the player, but the reality is that you're not going to be able to leverage the data if you don't have a cost-efficient infrastructure. And so I think that the biggest pivot which will happen is trying to find a technology partner which can scale your data, right? That's probably the biggest challenge we are seeing in the market. And so how would you do that? There are multiple ways. From my perspective, I think that probably the most efficient one is to be able to rely on partners which have their own database underneath, and then they build the infrastructure on top. And the reason for that is because if you have your proprietary database and you can have full control on the way in which the data gets stored, and if you have full control on the way in which the data gets stored, you can also easily scale the lifecycle marketing aspect of the game. And so I would say having a combination of high volume of data with a cost-efficient infrastructure is where we are heading towards. I think that's my take.
Well, I think embrace the change and use or testing continuously. I would say as a very summary for that. I'm coming from offline side, and it's 10 years ago, 15 years ago, still it's same for TV ads. We are not measuring, or if we are measuring, I don't know what we were measuring. But right now, if you don't measure anything, then even we don't talk about it, as we spoke earlier about brand marketing, etc. So with these changes, it might be about privacy or every day maybe we are seeing the data in a different way. We have to test, and for this, I think AI is the key or the key that we should use it to speed up. So yeah, test it, and even if it's a fail or win, keep the test and change.
Yeah, I have a different approach to this, a different perspective. I think the industry, especially the mobile game industry, got really good at the whole data points, at analyzing, looking at the ROI, right? And I think this is valid, especially on the beginning of a game. But at some point, you build an initial audience, right? And I think what we don't talk too much these days is it's okay, you have your community, they're talking to each other, right? But how can they actually immerse into your brand, right? Not just buying the user, get him on the game, making him stuck, but rather saying how does that become part of his culture or his friend's culture, right? And this is very hard. You cannot do this by doing scientific marketing or however you want to call. So I think that a good conversation that I think some companies do this extremely well, like Supercell, building communities, creating the super awesome ads that get people talking, the community hype up about, and they use that to build this, the next frontier about, of their users, right? People that will stick very long, that, will commit to their game. And I think, I think it's time to actually look at branding, marketing again, and try to see how can we actually add this into our marketing mix, and make sure that the user itself see value that goes, beyond the gameplay. It's just becomes sort of a cultural change. If you think about it, a lot of us have connected before with games because they resonate with us at some point in our life. Right? Talking to our friends about it, so you have the word of mouth that is added to it. So it's not just the science of the marketing, but rather the canvas that we put it for people to connect with the brand in the next level.
I think this nurturing community, this is the new way of marketing, right? This is the new way of a transformative way of UA channel, I guess. And my next question will be around this UA channels, because we were talking about lots of changes, and I believe on the ad network side, a lot of things has changed as well, the way we are utilizing this marketing channels, or the number of channels we are engaging right now. We are talking about diversifying our marketing mix, for instance, or we are talking about connected TV campaigns to promote our apps. This is also becoming an exciting channel to promote the apps. But at the same time, finding the most effective channels, it's not easy. So when it comes to what do you think, what are the most effective UA channels today, and how did they evolve?
Again, I think for us at Crazy Games, if you can try this right now, you can open Google, you can write the word games, and across multiple places in the world, we're the first thing you see. So basic SEO marketing has an extremely high value, and I think because it's not scientific, it's hard to do it, very hard to be good at it. You just leave it aside, right? So there's fundamentals of marketing that you can actually still, take advantage. And I think once we look at, beyond what you can do in terms of social media, even, right? TikTok, and understanding hey, how does my community want to interpret who I am as a brand or as a game? Do they want to be part, right? And you start kind of interpreting the signals and participating and engaging, right? I think there's a huge opportunity, right? There's a thing why those algorithms in TikTok work. It does work. People are engaged, right? So you should be part of the conversation, right? It's not easy. You're not gonna make. I try to tell my marketing team we should always aim to do a viral video once a month, but it's very tough, right? It does happen from time to time, and it's not science, right? But at the same time, we have to keep trying. And I think there's a lot of opportunities. If you want to do like acquisition, like and paid, even then, boosted views, we're seeing good results on TikTok. And I think, but obviously, right, the more people come, there's only so much display that there is, so there's more advertisers, the CPIs go high, and then if there's less, there will be, so it's always the same game, right? So you want to have the best ad that helps, but I think at the same time, you also need to understand, that there's always an opportunity that you can actually explore in different medias. And right now, I think TikTok is going well for us, and SEO for sure.
Well, I don't think that there is one right answer for that. Of course, like for every ad network, for every vertical, for every genre, it's different. And from my point of view, for example, in our case, of course, like Google and Meta, like they are the king, and we have to use them. But like if it's a hyper casual game, maybe it would. I should add app logging, for example. But when it comes to social channels like TikTok, Snapchat, we are also using like as a marketing mix. We use all of them, and maybe it's like here my talk will be a bit more similar to like brand marketing side. Okay, we are measuring it, but we never know that like how much is the incremental of each channel on us, or like what would happen if I remove TikTok and then go only for others, or like testing them, like for what or under which KPIs. So I think it should be a mix. Maybe testing and looking at the KPIs. It might be CPI or revenue performance, etc. You can find a sweet spot between them.
So yeah, my expertise is more in the, I would say, bottom of the funnel side of things, right? So probably not the best guy to speak about this. But what I can say is that I've seen that when it comes to UA, there is an intersection between UA and retention, right? So even though we tend to think that these are separate aspects of the funnel, the reality is that you want to make them as connected as possible. And so in light of that, what we are doing at CleverTap is trying to combine these aspects as much as possible. And the way in which we are doing this is to enable marketeers and product owners, product managers to be able to push enough audiences from all of these social platforms to the retention side of things. And so I think that it's not about, I can talk about the best channels in terms of UA, but what I can say is what are the technology providers which could help you enhance the UI side of things during the retention phase by having enough plugs in terms of plugging all of those channels to the retention platform. For example, if you are running ads on Google, you want to make sure that the same audience gets pushed to the retention side of things. Otherwise, you are just leaving money on the table. So acquiring users is one side of things. And so, of course, you want to explore the newest channels in the market, but also you want to make sure that once you spend the money in user acquisition, you also keep the money within the company by retaining those users, by creating retention campaigns on the same cohort of users, which you targeted on all of these channels. So I think that from my perspective, having platforms in place where you could leverage these UI audiences for retention purposes, that's probably the key to unlock lifetime player engagement.
So I think this is great, like seeing that how you are diversifying your marketing channels, talking about lower funnel, upper funnel focused channels, ASO, SEO, or you talked about like how we are going to measure the incremental impact for these channels. I think this is also quite important to understand how these channels are interacting each other, right? So that's also a huge question mark. So when it comes to accurately measuring the success of these marketing channels, to optimize our campaigns and to decide where we are going to allocate our budget, and since the data is getting scattered around, we are dealing with a scaled network right now. is there any advanced methodologies or technologies you are relying on just to measure the success? So maybe Francesco, do you want to start?
So I would say, from my perspective, there is no technology as such. It's more like how can I effectively use the tools which are already existing in the market, and how can I smartly combine them to make sure I get the most out of it. So if we take in consideration the standard measurement metrics like I don't know uplifts, click-through rates, and so on and so forth, I think that mixing all of those metrics such as target group, control groups, with campaign A/B testing and product A/B testing, that is where you can actually measure a real impact of your campaign. So I think that the uplifts can come from a combination of all of these activities. So it's not just that you want to A/B test your campaigns, and so you want to A/B test in-app offers with different sending times, subject lines, and so on. You also want to make sure that you can mix that up with the product A/B testing side of things. And how can I tweak the product in a way in which I can attach specific products of the game to specific audiences? And how can I resonate that with the specific campaign? So I would say using a combination of all of these metrics and all of these capabilities could really level up your player engagement.
I agree. Yeah, also combination. Like I would say maybe BI tools and the data science. How much we invest on the data science team by using the BI tools, like which is more machine learning. Because like the data, like for example, like for app marketing, we are having the data from MMPs, like thanks to Adjust, Expire, etc. But then to be able to see the longer cohorts, or to be able to see what we are measuring exactly and how we should go for the next step, we need BI tools, like to see it, to analyze it, and to finish this analysis, or maybe like to do more deep dive analysis, we need data science, and we need data science team for that. So I would say like this combination, because like there is no one solution, or there will be no, like this solution might not be the same in I don't know, in 2 years, in 2 months. So like all the time we need this combination to go forward.
Yeah, I agree. Not much to add in that. As you guys are more like on Crazy Games, we divide the marketing to two, right? There is like the data science team that does this stuff, and there's also like the branding side, which has more leeway, let's say. And I think, yeah, but from all the data, we build stuff internally, and very importantly, always looking back and seeing and tracking everything. So, yeah.
I think with machine learning and AI-based technologies, they have opened new ways of tracking users successfully, or allowing us to bring increments of ROI, revenue. So these technologies enable marketers actually to leverage data in new ways, in different transformative ways. Is there any examples right now you're using this machine learning or AI-based technologies, I don't know, in order to generate content maybe, or increase ROI, or creating different types of metrics? It might be predictive metrics, for instance.
So like I think about propensity models a lot, and I think this makes a lot of sense when it comes to increasing player engagement. So I think, for example, one example I can think of is RFM modeling, right? So how can I make sure that my players don't churn, and how can I do this in a way in which it can be automated and it can be granular at the same time? So I think using a combination of a large data set with RFM modeling and so propensity models can actually help marketeers to enhance their retention activities. So, for example, measuring your top performing players and how these players are behaving within the game, and the propensity of them to move to another non-performing category, which might be at-risk players. And so being able to track this transition from top performing players to low performing players, and be able to create recurring campaigns on top, I think that's the way to go about this. And so I would say propensity models are probably the best way to nowadays in 2024 to measure ROI and impact from my perspective.
Well, for Google, for example, like where I'm managing that, it's the product itself with machine learning. So, like maybe 5, 10 years ago, we were not talking about UAC campaigns, app campaigns, but right now, like everything, for example, like if I had to give examples, we were just bidding in terms of installs, and then like it's evolved to in-app actions, and right now, like the main thing is ROAS. So like this evolve is all about machine learning. And in terms of AI, yeah, like AI is the king. Maybe it will be the king of the king in a couple of years. I don't know. And for creatives, for example, we are working with Blockbox. So it's open AI, and then thanks to them, we can do like all the A/B testing for creatives, and it's all about AI. Or, for example, another tool that we can measure the performance of our creators, especially for Google, it's Bidalgo tool, and probably you may know as well. It's all about machine learning, like with their machine learning products tools. Like we have a chance to see the revenue performance of the creators that we use in Google. So like in every part, like it's in my life.
Yeah, crazy games we see AI with interest. We use, I think, different parts of the company are using differently. Recently, name filtering, because we started with the logging, people could give their own name and then some filtering. So this is one. On the marketing side, we do use it for creatives, translations as well. And on the community, like we have a Discord, for instance, we create sort of a bot that would interact with the community, and then you have like this, just people just went crazy, and they were like spending hours trying to say like, what did do something that you should not, right? So you could just put there, and then we just saw the community engagement just skyrocketed for the time we did that. I don't think it's a novelty idea, obviously, right? So again, it's a piece of the marketing. As long as it becomes available, if you take advantage of it. And we're right in the beginning of AI, right? What's gonna happen? What I'm seeing, and how developers are using, or how marketing companies are using. We're still learning, we're still exchanging. But yeah, it's very interesting. I also I'm having weekly conversations with my team to say like, what's new? What can we be looking at it? And we're exploring and see how the community reacts. And I think that's a really interesting part. On the data analysis, I think you can do already a lot with that, right? You just feed the dump of a bunch of data, and then it just gives you the insights that you want. But yeah, so I think I'm more interested in the creative side of it, and how we can actually, make it more the connection between what we're doing and the end user more faster and also more relatable, right? And I think that's on the ideation. I'm actually quite in love with AI.
We're still experimenting, and just to stay ahead of competition, I guess that's an essential part. But let's ask audience actually, are you started utilizing any AI-based technologies in marketing? Can you show hands maybe? Yeah, I think that's a good portion of like the audience. They're using AI. So when it comes to like adapting these new changes and new technologies, we need to be innovative, and we need to also inform other team members, right? Like this cross-functional collaboration is also quite important. So when we think of that, what do you think? How can we structure marketing teams to foster this innovative environment? Maybe do you want to start?
Yeah, this is interesting. In general, when we are about to do any project, that's something that goes to the community. Most of the time, it will be started by marketing, right? So, okay, we have this idea, and then you get the product guys, and then you get the developers, and then you have this line of communication, how wacky it becomes. But in general, my team, we try to be the owner about the thing and communicate all the stakeholders. But yeah, it's challenging. I think that the more people you add in your company, the more complex it is. And yeah, you just have to be on top of it. But at the same time, there's a billion things happening, and then you just, But I think this is a real struggle. Right now, there's just too much happening, right? And you have to focus on what really matters and make sure that the responsible people is on top as well. That's why. I mean, I would say every company needs a really great product guy, you know. So and then he can help the marketing team also to like liaise with everybody that's it's relevant in the company.
Yeah, like I would say also communication. Cross-functional teams working, but the communication, because otherwise, well, like it should be communication with the other teams, with agile projects maybe, because like everything is changing so fast. It's so fast, so we have to catch it. And without communication, I don't think we can do it. And like from UI, yes, like we need other teams. We need more data or like more like something that's we should touch on it, so that like we can go for the next step. Yeah. Communication.
This is actually a very good question because this is part of our narrative at Clevertop. We actually envision a future where CRM, marketing guys, and marketing people and product people can work together because I think you can all agree with this. But right now, if you are a CRM manager or if you are a product manager, chances are that you are not communicating with each other. So you are pretty much siloed in your department. And then if you want to do something when it comes to CRM, you need to rely on product dependency to get those audiences, or data analysts to get those audiences, and the other way around as well, right? Like if product wants to do something related to marketing, there is no such communication. So I agree with you when you say communication is important, but the way in which we are enforcing, let's say, this narrative at Clevertop is by forcing the product. And in fact, that's the reason why what we did was we literally combined product A/B testing and lifecycle marketing. Like there is literally no better way of making two teams communicating with each other because they are kind of forced to, because that's how the platform has been designed. And this is actually like for example, we work with several large studios globally, and that's one of the feedback that we are receiving. Like this is actually a pretty good narrative because nobody has solved this problem in the market nowadays, especially for gaming companies. This is super crucial, where I see these departments being siloed too much. And so our mission from our side is to literally push this innovation collaboration through the product. But I also agree that a combination of soft skills as well and better communication, right? That's also part of the whole thing.
I want to say that like before UA, I was always like marketing and always like this soft skills, communication skills. Like in each company that I was working before, it was the main problem of like even like from the product or data side, like what you're doing. Like really, like you're doing something. Yeah, we're like managing the budget, doing advertising, but like always there was a gap, and it was always a problem. So yeah, I think sometimes at marketing.
It's not only marketing, it's politics as well, right?
Company politics, yeah. I think it might sound crazy, but sometimes people they are producing the game, they don't know how this game is being promoted. So nowadays they are taking this approach, product team, marketing team, and a data science team. They can come together and they can exchange ideas. I think that's the key for success, right? And sometimes even UA managers and monetization managers, there's kind of this information knowledge gap between them. And even if there's a problem, you might think that it's on the UA side, the channels, you're acquiring new users, but it might be something else. They change on the monetization side. So I think this like keeping ourselves updated and taking this communication to the next level, that's the key for ultimate success. So let's wrap it up with my final question. So talking about this AI machine learning technologies, if we think of like we are looking to the future right now, and it's clear that this app marketing is going to constantly evolve. So what are the next big things, big changes you're anticipating, and how can companies prepare to embrace these new changes?
I think this is pretty similar to what I said before in terms of the big changes that I've observed over the last 12 months these are also going to happen in the near future. And so to me, I think that being able to leverage a large data set, again, that's part of the challenge. And so I've seen that providers are now really trying to become cost efficient in that sense, because sometimes what happens is that, especially from the retention standpoint, there are some beautiful tools out there which can do crazy stuff, and we all agree that there are plenty of those tools. But the reality is that 90% of those tools have not been designed for scale, right? So as soon as you start tracking too much, then you face caps from the data points tracking to the number of emails you can send. I mean, emails maybe is not the most relevant channel in this case, but let's say the number of notifications you are allowed to send, or the number of in-app offers you can trigger. And so even though your intentions of promoting your games might be super valuable, but the reality is that if you are capped by the technology, then there is nothing you can do about it. And so I think that the next big challenge or the next big change for all of the providers will be, how can we address scale in a cost-efficient way? And I can see a lot of applications of this concept happening already. Going back to the original topic of having your proprietary database, that's one thing, right? That's one explanation of what I just said. So I can see that companies are moving towards that direction, and they're trying to do that as fast as possible, because everyone understood the importance of data, but everyone is also aware of the fact that if you can leverage the data, there is no value in that data, right? So I think that's probably the next big shift.
From UA perspective, well, the first thing I would say again, privacy. For iOS, we already saw it, we have seen it, but Android is coming, sandbox. From my point of view, it will not be coming very soon, because I think it's not as easy as Apple did it, because iOS, they had only one operating system for Apple, so it was easier for them. But for Android, while they have many stakeholders, like Samsung, Huawei, etc., they are using all Android, so it's not easy to tell them from one day to another. This is my point of view. Even they were going to launch it this year, but I don't think it's coming even next year. But it will be coming, and I think it will be the main change. Of course, the customized content like UGC. All that, I'm a bit old-fashioned. I still don't understand how it's really it might be UGC or it might be influencer marketing. That they're just reaching small portions of amount of people, but it's more effective right now. But yeah, influencer marketing, maybe we haven't told it in the panel. I'm not seeing the effect that I cannot measure it. For example, when I do any YouTube campaign, when I use any influencer marketing. But at the end, yes, I have to, it's Coca-Cola campaign. They are doing they are spending all the money all over the world, and they have to do it because the name should be there. So yeah, influencer marketing also, I think it's not a change. It's already there, but it will be one of the on top titles.
I guess not only markets related, but it would certainly have an impact about how we're doing things. I think the biggest change that's going to happen, it's related to the distribution. Regulation has been changed in Europe, right? So you're going to have more and more alternative stores coming out. The guy from Epic was just here just before that mentioned that they are launching a mobile store as well. Discord just released their own game store inside the activity tabs. So there will be definitely more opportunities, right, for the game developers and the publishers to tap new audience. And I think this is already ongoing. It's already happening. It will only speed up. I mean, if you have an audience, right, you control quite a bit of it. And we even read today that Mr. Beast actually want to make a game, right? So imagine this guy who has millions and millions of people marketing his own game. And we're going to start seeing more and more of these changes happening. But I also feel working on a game platform kind of privileged because we get to talk to everybody, and we talk to game publishers, developers, service providers, other platforms, game engines, and I really feel like that there is a sense of technology change right now. What you can do, it's becoming more and more feasible for you to put it in your project, and diversifying, going to those platforms also becoming easier, right? And everybody wants to have a turnkey solution. So I think that's also something that's going to happen. Working on the web space, I see that there is a massive interest from big companies, like really the top game, or not even only gaming companies, or the top tech companies. They are all looking at it, the web space right now, and I think this is there's so many good hands working together. We will see probably in the next 6 months or up to a year quite a shift in terms of what's possible in terms of web games. Aligned with that, there is also like the whole AI generation. I think that's also something we already start seeing some really cool projects where you really prompt the game. I think we're not very far. I mean, considering the speed of evolution, right? Because now the AI developed the AI itself, kind of, right? And I think very soon we're gonna start entering the UGC prompt user kind of generation, right? And then from here it's gonna be crazy, right? Roblox users just say create a game like this, and boom, that's gonna be the inside. And I think that's something, it's not so far away anymore, to imagine this. This is already happening in videos. Obviously, there is another complexity in terms of video games, but I think a lot will be happening on this space as well. So work on your distribution and make great games. That's it.
I think we can admit that all the next big things, they are here, they are ready to use, but we are not utilizing in the most efficient way. So maybe in the next 2 or 3 years, we are finding a way to leverage these technologies more productively. Like on the measurement side, I would say, like, since there are different privacy regulations we are dealing with right now, probably predictive metrics is going to be quite important just to make data more meaningful, and we can get the most out of it, and so that we can still continue making informed decisions. So that's one of the most important things. I guess that was it on our side. Hope you enjoyed the session. So we don't want you to keep you busy here, so that you can just go enjoy the drinks upstairs. But if you have any questions, we will be happy to answer it. We will be happy to address it right now. We still have a couple of minutes. So yeah. And you're from the Google. You can maybe answer this Google privacy.
The questions will be towards you, thankfully. So my question is actually to Rafael. So the blueprint for growing apps is kind of set, but for H5 web gaming in general, what would you advise an H5, people who want to go into H5, what would you advise them to grow? Like, what's the blueprint for growing in H5?
So working with the web, it has its advantages and disadvantages, right? I think a very important element is actually game optimization, right? If we talk to PC game development, they don't care. They do a 5 gigabyte game. They know the user's gonna download once. In the web, it's not like that, right? So you do need to optimize. The tools are getting better. There's a lot of. I also think that's a difference between the mobile. It got so mature so early that the tooling is excellent, stellar. There's tool for everything, right? And on the web, we're getting there. I mean, we're seeing more companies coming into the space and doing this. So optimization will be a very important metric. I think, and what is really great about the web is that you can literally press one click and you're playing a game. No installs, nothing. It's just as simple as that, right? Now, just imagine if you have the same game, or you can have to download it and 200 megabytes or something like this, register, do all this stuff, or you can simply send a link to a friend, you press a button, and you're playing within 5 seconds, right? And I think that's the moment that we're getting very close to have the same quality of games on the web as well, because more and more of the great mobile games are coming to the web as well, and we're seeing right that. So I'll focus definitely on optimization and getting good games, social games. The web is lacking good multiplayer games. That's something I'm personally trying to bring a lot, and I think there is a lot of opportunity in general, right? Like before it gets too crowded, you have a fair shot to build, millions of players on the web, and it's not so complicated if you have a good game, you know, without spending a single dollar, right? So focus on that.
Any other questions? Thank you for listening, and yeah, thank you for showing up.
Muchas gracias.